World War I really led to the end of the progressive era. There's a number of reasons for this. First of all, there was no real progressive legislation passed during World War I, even though Wilson was still in office. Also, there's a large fear of the other foreigners, especially Germans that either were recent immigrants or actually immigrants in the country. This also led to a large amount of individual rights being overturned. The fear that not everyone was fighting on the same side within the country meant that individual rights were taken away. Also, there was a large grain shortage in the country, and combining that with the anti-German propaganda, Germans tended to be the major brewers in the country. So the passage of the 18th Amendment, the Prohibition Amendment, was seen as a way to hurt any potential German immigrants that would have been supporting Germany during the World War I. This was a long-term goal of the progressive movement. And once it was reached, it really tamped down a lot of the spirit of the movement, but also it proved to be such a disaster after the war that the idea that the government could pass laws that would do good things and that could actually be supported was undermined by the 18th Amendment itself. The 19th Amendment was passed after the war, which was a progressive goal. However, the fact that it was largely ineffective in cleaning up the liquor industry and the political machines also disillusioned many of the former progressives. The idea of progress itself, the idea that things are getting better, was largely killed off by the war itself. World War I occurred after 20 years of the progressive movement, and the idea that things were getting better ran into 20 million deaths. An entire generation of young men in Europe was gone, and this was after supposed progress. So the post-war spirit, while there was some goals, the 18th Amendment, the 19th Amendment were reached, the post-war spirit was not one of progress. There was also this fear of internationalism, and in the 1920 election, Woodrow Wilson, his Democratic Party was defeated by the Republican Party, largely because the Republicans wanted to stay away from internationalism, and what you're going to find is the League of Nations, which would have gotten the United States potentially involved in other international affairs. Now, when the voting population wanted to stay out of the internationalism, and they voted for the Republicans, they also brought in the Republican laissez-faire economic system of that era, which was largely the idea that the government should stay out of people's lives and that they should stay out of the economy. So this idea of the progressive element of using the government to help protect people largely goes away until Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal in the 1930s.